So I have to have it here in the pocket.
There we go. That's the spot I was looking for. I like this look today. I like it. Man, that's a sharp ring.
Thank you, brother. I like to say I won the Super Bowl when I won my wife, and there's a story behind that. When my wife had lost a diamond from her engagement ring.
Yep.
So we were walking in to the store to go set it away and have it get fixed. And she's like, well, while we're there, we can maybe look at wedding bands for you. Brother, nothing about me is plain. You know what I mean? I'm just not that guy.
I feel that.
You feel that? And so I was, it just so happened that there's like three like managers, I believe it is, that do all of the customization of rings. Mm-hmm. And they're the ones that visit stores. Mm-hmm. Just so happens that he was there that day. And they said, oh, what's your vision? And I said, okay. So we started looking at certain things, and I'm like, that's not it. That's not it. And then it came to this, and I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. And then she was like the manager of that I usually speak with, not the one who designs, but the manager of the store. She's like, oh, Luke, so you weren't looking for a ring. You were looking for a ring.
Yeah, so, I like that. And you know what? That's going to stay in because that Super Bowl story is the greatest.
Fair enough.
Welcome back to the Alternative Highs podcast, the #1 podcast in Southwestern Ontario. That is a fact. Today, quick PSA. There is a large percent of you that is non-subscribed to my channel. Why don't you go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit a like, leave me a comment, tell me how I'm doing, tell me what you'd like to hear. And with that, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is super special. Him and I were to start a journey about 4, maybe 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And
yeah,
as the world goes, you trust the process, and the process was not ready. We will not go down it, but we will talk about it. And this guest is Mr. Luke Davison. He is a Masonic brother of mine. He is a large voice in our community, one would say.
Maybe literally.
He cares, he loves, he teaches, and I adore you. I think it
Man,
is
I'm
so
honored, brother.
Funny because I followed you long before I ever even got to meet you. I would live for your videos. I started watching when you were making your videos, and that goes back
years.
5?
Yeah.
Like pre-COVID. This was
pre-COVID.
During COVID. You were getting us all to come together and inspirational, and you're a magical human.
Well, thank you, brother. I just try to bring positivity to the world. And that's the biggest thing. It's how I live my life. I didn't used to live my life that way. I promise you, I didn't. There were times where I go right to the negative right away, and
it's very easy to find yourself.
It sure is. It's a nasty place to be, but gratitude for everything in your life is huge, and I cannot stress that enough. And realizing where you are, and realizing you want to change it, or even I think the biggest thing for me is I was not in the right place, I would say, like financially, spiritually, all that good stuff. I just wasn't. And it took a while for me to, how do I say this? When I looked at other people, I would always look, I'm like, man, I wish I had that. And be like almost jealous of them. You know what I mean? And then I realized that that's wrong. Like, man, like I got to be happy for you. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until I did that my life started to change.
Yeah.
Like my life started to completely change. And And when you get to celebrate other people and the successes that they have and only want them to be good, man, that's amazing. And be able to give back and not just give back. I'm not saying financially. I mean, giving back as being like, as a good human being, just when you're talking to someone, if you only see them for 5 minutes or 5 seconds, whatever it is, make sure that that encounter is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they remind, yeah, I'm having a really crappy day today, but LD made it better for me just because we talked for a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's all I asked for. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I live my life. And it's been a blessing. And then taking the big, I guess, chance of becoming a wedding officiant.
I was going to get into that.
Man, that was game changer for me.
We're going to step on that one. But first, I want to go back to your Super Bowl ring here.
Oh, go back to Super Bowl rings. Yeah.
I seen you come to light even more once. Like, did you guys meet previous to COVID or in COVID?
It was 3 weeks before COVID.
I knew it was right around there.
It was 3 weeks before COVID.
Because not only did you get to meet the love of your life during COVID,
right,
pre-COVID, you also got to be the lucky gentleman that got the first case of COVID.
Yeah, no doubt. You're welcome, everybody. Yeah, it's one thing that to be known or prestigious for one thing or the other, but not for this. And
there was it's no pun at all.
No, for sure, definitely not.
It was a serious situation.
It was, yeah, definitely. The very beginning, it was super serious. It was nerve-wracking and scary. I remember. So my wife and I had our first date, and then I canceled our second date because that was the night before me and one of my good buddies were going to leave for Nashville. And they said, don't take planes because everyone's, breathing the same air. So we drove down, and it was nice. So who knows? I could have had COVID even before I even left.
Yeah.
Right? I could have had it before I even left. I could have got it in Ohio when we filled up gas. But back then, oh my God, at the very beginning, they were running short on hand sanitizer and toilet paper. And I'm like, no one has diarrhea from COVID, but that's fine. I don't know why, but
that one was, the toilet paper thing was funny.
It was, and even when we were going through Ohio and all these other different states, we never turned on Sirius satellite radio. We just turned on whatever radio station would come in just to see what the kind of what the temperature was in different states. Man, no toilet paper to be found, and I'm like, what? And no hand sanitizer. And there was no signs like 6 feet. There's no, it was just, I think, I'm trying to remember going back now. Oh my God, to that time.
You don't necessarily have to live that life.
No, but
I just wanted to acknowledge, not only are you living this, but you lived through probably one of the, can I assume that was the scariest moment?
Yeah,
for you?
For sure, definitely. Yeah.
Like,
because no one had lived it that we knew. No one had been positively tested, even though multiple people I've talked to said they probably had it, a few months prior, and they probably did. They probably did. Yeah. And but when you have that like associated to your name, that's something. But the one thing I did do, which a lot of people didn't, because they want their privacy, and I totally respect that. But I wanted to make it more real for people, and so I shared my actual story.
That's what I appreciate.
And it made it real. It made it real. Like, okay, we can survive this, and it didn't make it as scary. It kind of more humanized it.
That's the part I was trying to get to.
Yeah, because on the news, it's almost like fear mongers. It was an Italy and Chinese disease. And if you get it, oh my God, you're done. Like you got the plague. We're going to burn you at the stake. It was. I'm really glad that I was able to help. I had one of the best experiences, and it was actually at Shoppers Drug Mart. When I was finally cleared to go outside, and to go back. I was so worried about. Everyone already knows who I am. My picture was in the paper. I was already a wedding officiant. I already had, I had a few thousand friends on my social media, so I already had a presence. So people already knew who I am. And I'm obviously a big guy with a big voice. So if you don't see me, you're going to hear me. You know what I mean? And and so I was so worried about like going up in public and need to go and get groceries or what have you. So Shoppers Drug Mart's open until midnight. And I went in at like 11 p.m. and grabbed a couple things. And I got a couple looks from people, but nothing really, nothing that was like off-putting by any means. But when I got up to pay, this wonderful lady said to me, "I'm so glad you're okay, and thank you for sharing your story." Like people needed to hear that. And at that point, I'm like, okay, we're okay. You know what I mean? We're okay. Next stop, 2 days later, Superstore, went through that. And then of all things, I've never had it again. You know what I mean? Lots of people have COVID numerous times. Only had it once. Just once. Very beginning, that's enough for me. Let me tell you, it's enough for me. But my wife being a nurse, I think she had it a couple times. But that's just nurse's life.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Nurses.
They were the front lines for us there.
100%.
And we won't, like I said, we won't live there. I just wanted to acknowledge that because had you not shared that, it could have been a lot scarier for the rest of us in the community. So
for sure,
I do appreciate it, and I've always wanted to acknowledge that. But that was what I was going to ask you next. When did you become an officiant?
It'll be 6 years in April. Yeah, 6 years this April, 2019, April 2019.
6 years, over 300.
Over 300 weddings.
That's
wild. Yeah, man, it's crazy. Like I have a whole spreadsheet of all the weddings I've done, and CRA loves me. I don't like the CRA, but yeah, it is what it is.
How did you get to that? Like, how does one? You work for Enbridge. What do you do at Enbridge?
So I now work in the industrial markets, setting up all of our contracts for our large volume customers, and I work with a great team. And I just moved there with the hopes in a few years of moving to sales because obviously talking to people is something that's pretty hard for me. So that's what my goal is, my end goal. But how I got there is I wasn't married yet. I was single, and I was looking for like some extra money. And I don't know a lot of people who have just one job and are okay. You know what I mean? Or like they can go do whatever they want. And I'm like, and I was obviously being single. I had a lot of time, and so I really did some deep diving as to where do people spend their money at, and I found 4 things. One. Babies. Not a baby guy. Even though they love me because I'm warm, I'm big, they like it. But as soon as they poop, puke, you're gone. Goodbye. Where's your mom? Where's your dad? So babies was one. Pets was another one. You know what I mean? I've never really had too many pets. So I'm like, how do I get into that? Funerals is another one where people open their wallets for, and it sounds horrible to say open your wallet, but that's what they do spend their money on, right? Because it's very important to them.
100%.
And but in a morbid kind of way, you can't rely on people passing away on Wednesday so I can help you on Saturday. You know, you just can't do that because that doesn't happen. No, I've officiated 2 funerals, which actually I will tell you helped me with finding my own style of being a wedding officiant. So the last one was weddings, and I'm like, man, okay. So there was other wedding officiants in town, and I reached out to one. His name's Doug Robbins, and I asked Doug. I said, what's the process of it? Because I'm curious about it. And then I was asked had the opportunity to MC the wedding show 6 years ago, and the Chatham-Kent Wedding Show. And as I was, going around, interviewing people, and I'm just seeing how people are so excited about their wedding and their upcoming wedding. And I thought to myself, listen, I was born into the Jehovah's Witness religion, and I left that religion like 21 years ago. But that allowed me to be like, I'm not afraid to talk in front of people at all. Mm-hmm. Man, I have my door slammed in my face, I don't know how many times. If I woke you up on a Saturday morning, I apologize. And so when Doug had showed me the ways to how to do it, I said, okay, let's go ahead and do this. And, one of my friends told me, she's like, oh, you can just go online and get ordained in like 48 hours and it costs you like $50. That's true in the US, but that's not true in Ontario. And it was a little bit more involved than that, and definitely a lot more money than $50. But when I did it and I announced it, like, blessings, honestly, to my family, friends, people who recommended me, because it kind of hit the road running, and it was because I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what, for what I have to pay a year and for what it cost me to do the training, I'm like, I need like 10 weddings to make it make sense. 6 years later and 300 weddings down and like 80 or so on the docket for this year and that.
80 on the docket.
You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. So I now legit turn down 70% of people who reach out to me. Wow. And I kid you not, 70%. And I'm like, I can't help. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. Like, do you want to get married at 6 o'clock? How about noon? Yeah. So it's been a blessing, but it's also a curse too when people reach out and they're like, oh, we hear so many wonderful things about you. And then you're like, oh, I can't. And then even worse is the clergy that I started with.
Thank you.
The clergy I started with, the only one I could find, the one I was told about, they're the only ones who trained at the time that I knew about, and they do not allow you to perform same-sex marriages. So it's even worse when people reach out to you and they're like, Luke, we hear wonderful things about you. We've been at a wedding of yours. We can't wait for you to do it. Are you available this day? And I'm like, yeah, I am. You know, tell me what your fiance's name is so I can be prepared for our call or for our meetup. And they're like, oh, my name's Susan and this is Sarah. And I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, now I got to go through this. And I would never lie. Like, I would never lie. I know there have been people who would just say, so they look good, oh, I'm just not available that day. Mm-hmm. Show some friggin' integrity.
I appreciate that.
You know what I mean? And so I explained to him, I said, listen, I'm searching right now for a clergy that will allow me to do this. The one I signed up with, I just can't, and I'll lose my license if I do. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Not that, because I do want to help you, so I have found one, and which is exciting. And I went through the training, switched over. Now I'm just waiting for the Thunder Bay Marriage Office to make it official, because you're given a clergy number when you're an officiant. So I'm just waiting for that one to be canceled, my original one to be canceled, and my new one to be issued to you. And then I have we're gonna hit the media running, so in that way, when people think, oh well, Luke doesn't do this, oh no, Luke helps everyone, and that's what I can't wait.
How hard was that on you? Because that's not a fun
conversation. It wasn't a fun conversation, and after a while, like the first 2 years, it was really bad because
you got a big heart.
Definitely.
I've seen how you handle it.
2-3 years go by, people just learn that you can't. But in the next few weeks, there's going to be like a social media blitz, and I can, and I can't wait. Yeah. And I'm really excited. You know what I mean? Because everyone deserves to have their special day, no matter who you're getting married to. Like 100%. You deserve, like everyone deserves it. And if a big ginger with a berry white voice can help you, yeah, I'm your man. You know what I mean? I can't wait to do it. So, but yeah, that's where we're at right now, brother.
That's exciting. I'm happy for you because I can't imagine. I know you. I've got to know you, and I know where your heart sits, and I know that you just love everyone. So having that conversation would suck. What's the future of LD officiant?
That's a good question. I was, I think more status quo, minus the fact of helping people, because I never really envisioned this taking off to be like, let's do a full-time thing. Because where I work, no one gets married on a Monday. You know what I mean? And there's no dental or health benefits or anything like that. And it legit works with my current schedule.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there may be a time, maybe years down the road, where I'm like, maybe I want to slow it down a bit. I have the ability to do that and not affect me, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but in the meantime, just going strong, because I will tell you, I do not want to be working until I'm 70 years old, because I know some people have to do that.
100%.
You know what I mean? It is what it is, and I do not want to be one of those people.
No.
So at 70, like, I'm hoping I am somewhere not hot, because listen, big gingers, we hate the sun. You know what I mean? So, send me to friggin' Iceland or someplace for a visit. I'm just like, I have so many friends that they're like, oh, we're going away and we're going to go to Jamaica. We're going to go, to Caribbean or wherever, Mexico. See ya. Man, you don't catch me on the beach for friggin' 12 hours and getting skin cancer and dying. And oh my God, I just can't do it. Like, honestly, and I'm also, my wife and I, like, when we go out, like, we like to travel between December and April, which are my non-wedding months. Even though I did have a beautiful elopement yesterday. It was really beautiful. We love to go out and do things. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, our days are packed with, we're here, let's go experience it. And I think it allows me to become more worldly. And the fact is, the blessing is that me and my wife, we are like complete opposites. Complete opposites. Yep. Like, I'm an extrovert, big voice. She's an introvert, small little voice. Like, but when we go out together, when it comes to exploring stuff, like, I need her there, because she comes up with these wonderful ideas that everyone thought about. And I'm the guy who's going to talk to the locals. I'm not going to go to some place where, like, oh, where can I buy this at? No, I'm going to talk to a local and be like, yo, tell me where the best joint is. Like, legit, the best. Like, I remember we went to New York. We spent 8 or 9 days there. Best trip of my life. Like, best trip of my life, for sure. And, but I was speaking to locals, to all the staff, and I treat them equally. That's a big thing. Like, you know what I mean? You treat people like they're a CEO, and they're, and they're just like taking your information at the hotel desk. Treat them good, because you get it back tenfold. I will tell you that, 100%. Brother. Tenfold, and that's how I live my life. And it's been amazing. So many people, like, we took one day from New York to go to Philly, and I'm not that great at geography, but I always thought Philly was a long ways away from New York, and it's from Chatham to London. It took us an hour to drive there.
Come on.
I'm
not good at geography.
Super quick, man. I'm like, I'm like, what? And so we had our driver who took us there, and I wanted to go for a Rocky tour, because I'm a huge fan of the Rocky shows.
Yeah.
And some people are like, oh, that's kind of crazy. I'm like, no, man, it's cool as hell. Like, it legit was cool as hell. But the Rocky statue isn't at the top of the stairs anymore. They moved it down to the side of where it is. But so anyways, my wife, she walks up the stairs, and I start talking with these cops. And we had a great conversation. And then these cops were telling me all these great things. And you know my style, brother. I'm always wearing a hat. I like to look nice. You know what I mean?
You're
and
fly.
Fly. I appreciate that. Give me some love. And so it was, these cops were like, you must be someone important. Come on, man. You look like you're someone important. I'm like, I promise you I'm not. I'm just a brother trying to look for a Philly cheesesteak. And they told me, they said, listen, don't go anywhere where tourists go. He said, we want you to go this one spot in Philly, and I'm telling you, it's a hole in the ground, but it's the best in the world. Man, those cops did not lie. It was amazing. That's awesome. It was so good. I walked in, and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm going to get a virus. You know what I mean? Like, if I sit in that chair right there, I'm going to get a virus, but this food's going to be good. And it was so good. Like, it was delicious. And again, that just came from not being able to talk, not being afraid to talk to people, which I think is a shame. I think what our community is kind of going to is people doing that. Like, I hope Chatham doesn't become what Toronto is, or big cities where, like, you're just head down, not looking at people. And if someone does say hi to you, you think to yourself, are they trying to do something to me? Are they trying to get money from me? What are they trying to do? Brother, I'm just trying to wish you to have a good day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it brightens your day. Like, and when I say it, one, because I have a big voice and a big presence, people are kind of startled at first. And they're like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Don't trip. Have a good day. You know what I mean? So, but it's, yeah, I wish we kind of get back to that. I truly do. That's one thing I love, like, small towns about. You know what I mean? Like, now, however, my wife hates grocery shopping with me or any shopping in our own town or pretty much anywhere, because
You know,
every time we go somewhere, I'm like, all right, we need to get 4 things. And why does it take us 45 minutes to do that when we enter the store? And then she was like, you can just say hi to people and goodbye. And I'm like, I could, but that's not me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or you could go yourself.
How's that go over for you?
Oh, no. It ends up being like a lot of times, you know, it's sometimes we'll do it together, but other times we're like, if I know that she's in a rush, I'll do my best to be like, head down, or I see something. What up, brother? It's good to see you, man. I gotta go. Because it's great to connect with people, and the cool thing is, like, 300 couples. The unfortunate thing is sometimes you start to forget names. You know what I mean? And they're like, Luke, how's it going? And I'm like, it's going amazing. Keep talking. Keep talking. It's gonna come to me. And then I'm like, oh snap. I'm like, how are you doing? You know what I mean? And so that's the that actually happened. My wife and I and my family were in Hamilton, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's very similar to like the 360 Tower in Toronto, where you go up to it and you have dinner, and it like does a whole 360 around Niagara Falls.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as we go up there, there's a couple that I was going to marry shortly, and they're like, oh, Luke's up there. And my cousins think it's hilarious. Being from Hamilton, no one knows anyone when you go out anywhere. And they're like, of course you know someone here. But it's a blessing, but it's also a curse when you start to lose names. But you know what? I'm going to say more of a blessing. You know what I mean? To get love everywhere you go, but I only get it because I bring it.
I was going to say, you bring it.
You know what I mean?
So what's something, if you could bestow the wonderful listeners of the Alternative Highs podcast, one great piece of advice for getting through the day, some inspiration, put you on the spot, what would that be?
Oh, that's a good one. I wake up in the morning and realize how good your life is. Because I promise you it's better than you think it is. I guarantee it's better than you think it is. And everyone's is. You know what I mean? And if not, just turn on the news. Because news isn't about puppies going down slides and families smiling. That's not what the news does.
No.
The news sends us the worst shit you can possibly see. And you're like, oh, these people have it so bad, or this is so. Just wake up, maybe look to the right or left of you, and you're like, wow, I got a beautiful spouse beside me. I'm going to a job, or even if you're in between jobs, you live in one of the best countries there is, and you're going to find something. You know what I mean? You always do. People always land on their feet. You know what I mean? They always do. And that's, I think gratitude is key. Like, and it just it starts your actual day. You know what I mean? It starts your day. And, there are lots of people I go through a McDonald's drive-thru every morning for a morning coffee because Tim Hortons is great, and plus my mother-in-law, she works there part-time. So I had to kind of switch too, because I'll never hear the end of that. But she loves Aaron Rodgers. What the fuck? Honestly. But anyway, enough about that. A lot of times, and it's not just around Christmas time, people think that giving and being nice is like December 1st to December 24th. That's what they think it is. I truly believe that. Because it's put to us on, commercials are like, oh, it's the greatest time of the year. Well, you still got to get up on the 26th. You got to get up in January. You got to get up in February.
Yep.
How are you going to make someone's life better? You know what I mean? $2 coffee is pretty easy.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to be that. It could be just take time out of your day to just say hi to one stranger. You know what I mean? Because you'll maybe if you're an introvert, it might be a little bit hard, but I promise you'll get easier.
I like that.
It's true. Like it's so true. Just be good. And being good is different for other people. And if you're not comfortable with it, that's fine. But honestly, I promise you, everyone will feel so much better in their own community. We're like, man, I had a great day. I went out and these people were nice to me. I'm like, this was really nice.
Yeah.
It could be like that. You know what I mean? It legit
could
could
make
be
it
like
that way.
that. But we have to make it that way.
We are the change.
Brother, look, we are the change indeed.
Luke Davison.
Oh, brother, this is a pleasure, man.
I love you for coming on. Thank you.
Brother,
thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Alternative Highs, subscribe and follow, please. Mm-hmm. Cheers.
That was amazing.